Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories. There's no change in the number of confirmed cases of coronavirus at University Hospital Waterford. Nursing Homes Ireland say residents were left isolated by the state in the early days of the crisis. Debenhams workers are protesting outside stores and Bank of Ireland branches this lunchtime. And in sport, a third round of coronavirus testing will be completed today across Premier League clubs. There's just one confirmed case of COVID-19 in University Hospital Waterford. 3 suspected cases were on site as of 8 o'clock last night. The HSE's daily operations update shows there's no confirmed or suspected cases in UHW's critical care unit. Nursing home residents were left isolated by the state in the early days of the COVID crisis, according to Nursing Homes Ireland. CEO Tadhg Daly has told an Oireachtas committee he was left exasperated by the exclusive focus on acute hospitals. Our political correspondent Sean Defoe reports.
The Dáil's COVID-19 committee has been hearing about the situation in nursing homes, with Tadhg Daly, the CEO of Nursing Homes Ireland, strongly critical of the government's initial response.
Key state organisations left the nursing home sector and its residents isolated in those early days. The dismay will live forever with us.
But Fine Gael TD Fergus O'Dowd hit back at that assessment, saying wealthy owners of private nursing homes could have done more to buy PPE.
You are making the point that the state or the HSE or the minister or the department didn't assist you. I believe that they did. And I believe you could have done a lot more for yourself, and you didn't do that.
More than 500 pages of correspondence between the Department of Health and Nursing Homes Ireland was delivered to TDs at 9:30 this morning ahead of a committee meeting that started at 11. Among the documents, it's emerged that one nursing home had to use painters' overalls and goggles in lieu of personal protective equipment, with Nursing Homes Ireland saying more should have been directed to nursing homes instead of entirely to acute hospitals. Sean Defoe, Leinster House.
The Chief Executive of the HSE says they have to restore services in a way that protects the public. Paul Reid was responding to questions from Waterford Fianna Fáil TD Mary Butler. Deputy Butler says the restoration of breast check and cervical check are vital for the health of women.
And a clear plan now needs to be put in place to address the backlog that has built up during the COVID pandemic. Understandably, these screening services were suspended during the COVID pandemic. However, I believe the time has now come to supercharge screening services as a matter of priority. Routinely, 34,000 tests are taken per month. Figures published last week show that there was no mammograms carried out in the month of April, and that there was a 96% decrease in the number of samples sent to cervical check labs at the time.
Paul Reid says they're anxious to get back to non-COVID levels of service, in particular screening services.
Nobody will thank us or anybody that we restore services in a way and we see public health outbreaks from the virus. And so it's a big challenge for us to get back to levels of service, particularly in relation to cancer treatment. I would say again that if people have symptoms and feel they have symptoms, the clinical pathway is definitely go back to your GP. Referrals are still taking place for support of people with symptoms.
Dr Colm Henry says screening involves bringing large numbers of healthy people into a healthcare setting.
And currently the risk of bringing people into a congregated setting, whether it's a van for breast screening or whether it's a waiting room, is something we cannot do. We cannot go back to what is called business as usual. We have to consider everything. For example, in the case of breast screening, as to how many cases a van could do, normally 40 or 50 per day, it certainly couldn't do based on COVID principles and good infection prevention control principles, do more than 10 a day. The waiting room likewise. The mammogram, very briefly, which requires close contact between a radiographer and a patient, would require a new way of working.
Debenhams workers across the country, including Waterford, are protesting outside stores and Bank of Ireland branches today. Debenhams' 11 Irish stores have been placed into liquidation, but the company isn't providing redundancy packages to its workers. Around 90 jobs have been lost at its store in Waterford City Square. Michelle Gavin, who worked in the Waterford shop, says Bank of Ireland is a part owner of Debenhams.
They're the ones that had the stake in it. I think, as far as I'm aware, they have a 4% stake in the company. We feel, even with their 4% stake, and with the amount of, just in the news there a couple of days back, how much money they made last year, and with the loophole that's there, that they should be well able to pay us a redundancy package.
Michelle says they received redundancy notices last week from the liquidator.
We were just told, again via email, that we've all lost our jobs as of the 20th of May. That was the date we all received them. The letters we received, or the emails, we received stated quite clearly it was just going to be the statutory. That's all they were going to pay.
Leaving Cert students have been registering for calculated grading since the system opened this morning. The Department of Education has opened the system after the exams were scrapped due to COVID-19, as Andrew Louth reports.
Students can register by going to gov.ie/leaving certificate and accessing the portal, which has been open since 10 o'clock this morning. However, they need to ensure that they do have some details. Leaving Cert student Ciara McNally from Enniscorthy in Wexford explains.
You're putting in your first four numbers, of your PPS number, and then you're putting in your exam number and your phone number and your email address. They send a verification email and just to confirm that.
After the information is verified, students will then be asked to select the levels of which they will be examined on. They do have the option to drop to ordinary level if they wish, but they can't move from ordinary to higher level. These students, also from Enniscorthy, say they're going to take the calculated grades.
I'm going to take the calculated grades. The idea of sitting an exam just didn't tempt me at all.
I'll be out of school for nearly a year, by the time the exams are on.
It's a relief as well to know that it's done now. It's out of our hands.
The portal to register for the new system is open until Thursday.
The mother of a Waterford-based guard who died in a diving accident last year says she never knew how many people he'd saved. Garda Dave Hearn, who was stationed in Ballybricken, was off duty when he died diving off Hook Head on May 25th, 2019. The 47-year-old Wexford man passed away without knowing he was to be promoted to sergeant. Speaking to Damien Tiernan on Daysha Today, his mother Gemma Hearn says it was his dream.
I knew he did all the exams and he sweated quite a lot over them. It would have been lovely for him to have been made sergeant because it was his goal that he was trying to reach. And it's just very sad to think that he died a few weeks before. We won't ever forget him. And as parents, nobody expects to bury a child. And we certainly didn't expect anything to happen to him.
A charity worker for Waterford Hospice says a donation from Bosch and Lomb couldn't come at a better time. The contact lens manufacturer has given €10,000 to the hospice home care team. Speaking on Daysha Today, Mary Cummins says charities all over the country are suffering due to the pandemic.
I just gave a call there last week wondering if there was any money available because, as you know, there's no Sunflower Day. Lots of things are cancelled, so there's no fundraising. Fundraising at the moment is hard. So I got a call on Friday from one of the girls, Shirley and Anne Hammond, and they said they were going to call to me today with a donation of 10,000, and it's coming from the Employees Fund, which is a fund they have there, and every year out of that fund they give to several different charities.
Despite COVID restrictions, music fans will still get to see some gigs this summer. Gavin James will be performing to people in their cars in Waterford in August. Live at the Drive-In will host a series of concerts across the country beginning on July 25th and arrives in Tramore on August 7th. Gavin James is the first artist announced he'll perform live from the stage on the prom, and ticket holders can watch from the comfort of their car. Tickets go on sale this Friday. Mick Dolan from Dolan's in Limerick says it's something to keep the industry going.
Well, I think it's in the interim before venues open again. So this is something different. It's keeping music alive and it's giving jobs to musicians and tech people. It's a positive news story for the industry, and we're delighted to be involved in it. This is very safe, family friendly, and safety is the main thing.
WLR Sport, Ireland's local station of the year.
Starting with soccer, where a third round of coronavirus testing will be completed today across Premier League clubs. So far, there have been 8 positive results from over 1,700 tests. Bournemouth's Aaron Ramsdale has expressed shock over his positive test in the second round, despite the first being negative days earlier. Former Liverpool defender Jamie Carragher has told Sky Sports News teams will have to be stricter regarding the movement of their players.
They may actually say to players now, don't even go to the supermarket. I know that Liverpool's staff are sending food parcels or getting the players' food delivered. Maybe that's something that has to go on right throughout the Premier League if possible, to make sure players just don't go out the house.
Irish striker David McMillan's spell with Scottish Premiership side St Johnstone has come to an end. The former Dundalk forward was signed in January 2018 by the Saints, who've opted not to offer him a new contract. The 31-year-old Dubliner scored 5 times in 26 games for the Scottish top-flight club. The match, dubbed Der Klassiker, takes place this evening. Bundesliga rivals Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich clash at 5:30. While in golf, Rory McIlroy believes this year's Ryder Cup will be postponed until 2021. The world number one was among a number of golfers who've already called for the clash of Europe and the US not to be played this year if spectators aren't able to attend. Whistling Straits in Wisconsin is set to host the event in September. McIlroy has told the BBC it's a personal hunch that he doesn't think that it'll happen. WLOR asking you to stay at home. Our next bulletin is at 2.